States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a reminder, if you have a cell phone, please either turn it off or put it on mute. Before we go on with the approval of the treasury warrants, I think last week we had a problem getting signatures from the board. We had one gentleman on vacation. I just want to remind the board, please come in and sign them. They're usually ready by at least by Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning at the latest. And the town really cannot be issuing checks without our signatures. And I have a copy of the policy if anybody wants it. Okay, approval of the treasury warrants, the payroll warrants for April 5th, April 12th, and April 19th.
I make a motion that we approve the payroll warrants of April 5th, 2019, April 12th, 2019, and April 19th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor? Accounts payable warrants, April 9th, April 16th, and April 23rd.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable warrants of April 9, 2019, April 16, 2019, and April 23rd, 2019.
I'll second. All those in favor? Thank you. Approval of minutes of April 2nd, April 3rd, and April 9th. Do we have any corrections, omissions? Yes.
I'm not sure if I can bring this up, but I wanted to say on the April 3rd minutes, under W, which is talking about the Parks and Rec budget, it says that it was it was approved for $720,288. That amount should really be $790,288. I just wanted to make sure that would be correct.
Is that correct? 290,000?
No, 790,000. It says 720,288.
It is 790, I can pull the warrant.
Okay, it's, all right. It's just a correction.
Okay, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bobby's not here, he got called out on a call. Hopefully he will be back. Do we have any more corrections on the minutes? Yes, Ben?
I'm pretty sure it's to the 9th. It's not on any of these. So I'm going to say it was the 9th. We did vote to adjourn with Roy Farmer.
Yes, we did, it was, it was on April 2nd. Ben Ryan's moved that when we adjourn, we do so in memory and honor of Roy Farmer. On the front page of April 2nd.
Well, I thought that meant it's actually supposed to say that as part of the adjournment.
Oh, I'm sorry, you wanted it back on the back end?
Yes, that's why I always bring it up in the beginning so that it automatically would be.
Okay. All right, so you want that one moved to the back of the,
Well, it's fine there, but it should show up.
okay,
Just have them.
That's all.
all right,
Thank you for finding.
all right, thank you.
Want that one corrected or not?
Do you want it corrected, or you want to leave it where it is for right now?
I would simply say that, in line with Mr. Ryan's motion at the beginning of the meeting, when the meeting was adjourned, in honor of, is that it? 15 or 14?
Yeah.
Okay, in the back. All right, anybody else? Anything else? All right, can I have a motion to approve?
Move the minutes as amended.
Second?
All those in favor? Thank you.
Sorry.
We have no special presentations. We have committee appointments. Carl Olson to our planning board and ordinance review. Susan Blagden, for Historic Preservation Commission. Tony Gaddy for planning board and Richard Forrest for waterfront committee.
Move the appointments as presented.
Second?
All those in favor? Thank you. We have no public hearing. The next one is the public comment section. At each regular selectmen meeting, there will be time devoted to any resident or taxpayer of the town of Wiscasset to address the selectmen regarding any item that is not on the agenda for that meeting. Do we have any public comment?
Susan Blyden. I'd like to compliment the Highway Department for the wonderful job they've done on keeping our streets clear in the definitely problematic weather we've had this winter. I've driven in several other towns during the winter and have been very glad that I've had my great big heavy car. I could have done it in a motor scooter in Wiscasset. And they've also cleared all of the stuff, as far as I can tell, off the roads now. So we're starting to look pretty good for an early spring. Also, I have had occasion to be working with people in the town office this year on various questions dealing with historic preservation and also the appeals board. And I want to say what a pleasure it's been to work with our new codes enforcement officer, Bruce Mullins, and how delighted I am to be working again with John O'Connor. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Anyone else has a comment? All right, seeing none, we will go on. Department head or committee chair. Department head monthly reports. I want to commend our gentleman that's taking care of our wastewater treatment. A very, very thorough report. I have to say, I enjoyed reading it. Glad to know. It's very good insight of where we are. Thank you very much. Anyone else have any comments? Okay. Now we will hear from Richard on the wastewater treatment.
So it's certainly been challenging. I don't know if John made a copy, but I listed the septic dumping fees for Wiscasset and some other surrounding areas. Yes.
On the back.
So I'm proposing that we increase those fees, and I'm looking to get some feedback maybe by the next meeting, so you can take a look and you can ask any questions either tonight or the next meeting. And it also outlines that there is no flow meter for the septic receiving area, and they're just estimates by the hauler. I kind of have some issues with that. Don't know if you do, but I'm asking that as well. And the septic pump in the lower part of the blower room has not worked for years after a flood that was, I forget what year it was, quite a while back. And it wasn't claimed other than the insurance. So currently they bring out a portable pump to move the fluid from one tank to another. And it just continues to waste valuable man hours that we could use somewhere else. As we have 3 valve pits basically on the premises at the facility, and none of the sump pumps work in there. They're confined spaces, and there's some challenges to figure out whether the check valves hold or not, or what exactly we're going to do to pull out and make sure we don't have a flood and put someone in danger. So again, we take a portable pump and move that around when we have to pump it out. So those are just some things that are going on that waste a lot of valuable time. In addition, we have applied for 2 two state funds. One is the climate adaptation plan, and one is the fiscal sustainability plan. During applying for those, the median household income of Wiscasset has gone down since the last time they took a look at this. And with the budget that we recommended, as well as you and the budget committee recommended, it has moved us up the list of critical needs, basically. It shows that we really haven't had a need for doing some things. And I have also I've talked with John and took some time, some hours with Chuck Appleby. He used to be a superintendent here. He runs his own lab. He knows a lot of people that are both in the loan business and where grants are. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to pursue all that. Just keeping the plant running and day-to-day issues keep me pretty busy. So he is helping in regards to that. I talked with him today. He was down in Florida this month celebrating his mother's 80th birthday. He says that he has some additional information and we'll be meeting next Tuesday. So I just wanted to pass that along. And then we need to have a public rate hearing sometime before May 23rd. So I'll look for the board to discuss what day, if you want to be involved in that or not. And I'll have to do a advertisement and stuff like that. So I'll look for any input you have in regards to that.
Why the 23rd?
Because of the timing, because there are certain time frames in between. And if you want to get it on the first billing cycle, because you inquired, I think, the last time around. So to meet those time frames, it would have to be May 23rd at the latest.
Is there something you?
No, I just wondered why the specific date.
Okay. Is this something?
Oh, it's just that day or before.
Oh, okay, so that's all I was.
Yeah.
Shall we put that on next time agenda to be able to set that hearing date?
Okay.
All right. And also discuss the sewage dumping fees at that point in time too.
All set?
All set. I'm sorry, Catherine.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
You mentioned all of these, moving the portable pumps and all this stuff that hasn't worked the way it's supposed to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Have you made up I'm sure you have, some sort of list of what needs to be replaced, so this
Yes,
doesn't
I
keep-
have, except for the septic pump, because I haven't gone out for a bid on that yet. That's gonna be fairly expensive. So I'm hoping maybe we based on the septic rates, if we increase them, that would be dedicated to that whole septic receiving area.
Okay.
That was my thought, and I wanted to share that. Oh, as a matter of fact, you talk about pumps that need to be repaired. There are two waste pumps down there, and one has been backfeeding, which affects our process control. It shouldn't backfeed, and it's been getting worse and worse. And so, I hate to admit, but the repair is $9,000, and they're coming Thursday. I'm gonna take it out of the impact fee. I can't wait any longer because I'm afraid we'll lose the process and we'll be in really deep trouble.
No, you go right ahead and do that. I think the board is Probably a consensus with that, yes, definitely.
Definitely.
I'm trying to keep everyone in the loop as much as possible, and I talk with John quite a bit, but sometimes
Thank you for
it's...
giving me a break yesterday, by the way.
Yes,
Much appreciated.
you're certainly welcome. So I'm trying to manage it as best I can. And I did talk with the DEP at the end of last week to give them an update. And so far, we're good. Some of the reports that needed to be submitted, they were supposed to be submitted sometime last year. They're giving me some extra leeway, and I suspect in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have like 2 of the 4 done, and that'll give me some extra time to get the others done. So,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for doing such a remarkable job on it.
Definitely.
You're very impressive, really.
Lisa.
Lisa, did you want us to speak to the board?
Yes, I did actually.
Thank you.
I can take a third one now. So during the budget process, it was brought up that perhaps we should be looking at membership rates for the community center and raising those rates sooner. I had planned on raising them for next year, but due to the budget being the way that it is right now and our projected revenue is not as high as we want them to be, I thought it might be a good time to visit that now. I wanted to pass, this is my proposed, my proposal for raising those membership rates effective July 1st of this year. Basically what we're doing, what I did was I raised it $1 a month per membership. So if you have a year membership, it would be you would be raised $12 a year. If you did a monthly membership, whether it was 3, 4, or 5 months, it would be $1 for each of those months that you paid for. The projections that I did based on what we have for memberships right now, if we were to go with this rate, would bring in probably an additional $7,000 to $10,000 depending on our membership rates, membership numbers. So it's not a lot, but it's a little, but I think over a 3-year period, if we raise them again next year, doing the same formula, and then again the following year, it'll slowly climb up. I don't want to raise them too high at once because I think that will, it just won't be a very user-friendly way to do things. So.
All right. I have no problem with this rate schedule at all. None. Thank you.
Good way to do it.
Thank you very much.
No, I said it sounds like a good way to do it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay, unfinished business. Deer Ridge tax exemption update. John?
You've got a single page summary from Ms. Douglas at Bernstein Shore, talking about the Deer Ridge Farm request for tax exempt status. All the documents that Ellery, who's our assessor, requested were provided by CNC Realty. And as it says, first paragraph, for the town to grant the exemption, CEI must first affirmatively show that its property is exempt from taxation. And that requirement was met, and materials submitted by CEI provided adequate support for both requirements. And third paragraph, based on the supplemental response from CEI, basis to conclude that CEI satisfies the statutory requirement for the 50% exemption, which is available to property owned and occupied or used to provide federally subsidized rental housing. So, if the town, she continues, if the town grants the exemption, please note that an exemption granted under this subparagraph must be revoked in any year in which the owner of the property is no longer a nonprofit housing corporation, or the operation of the residential rental housing is an unrelated trade or business to that nonprofit housing corporation. And it's not expected that there'll be any changes, but if that change does occur, then the exemption would be withdrawn. So, as Ellery says, and the attorney says, whether or not to grant the exemption rests with the Board of Assessors, which is the Board of Selectmen, and I recommend that this exemption be granted.
Okay, I'll make a motion to grant the tax exemption to the Deer Ridge Farm in Wiscasset.
I'll second it.
Yes.
Does the motion need to say that it's a 50% exemption, or?
Well, you could do one of two ways. You could say the requested exemption, or it could be, got to push this farther away from me.
We can add the 50%. Well, okay, I'll make a motion to grant them the 50% tax exemption
I'll second the motion.
as requested. As requested. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And Catherine has, okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Schedule a site visit for the proposed kayak rack placement.
Yeah, I know I've brought that up a few times, and it's appropriate for the board to look at the building and consider the proposed structure. I've seen it, I got my own views, which I will keep to myself until the board has had a chance to look at it. But if there's a time that would suit the board, individually or collectively.
Well, I'd like to do it as a board, if that's okay. And I think someone from the water subcommittee should join us. Susan's here with us tonight. Our next meeting is May 7th. What if we were to do it, say, around 5? Could we all meet down at the waterfront at 5?
Have we decided how we're gonna construct this?
And I think that's the purpose of the visit. Is to
No, I mean, I wasn't interested in the proposal that we got. I mean, if we build the thing, we build it ourselves. I don't like the idea if somebody else builds it and we're gonna give them a free space for a few months, and I'm not interested in going that route.
Well, I thought the purpose of the visit was to see whether you wanted to put on the building or have it a standalone. That's what I thought the purpose of the visit was.
Well, standalone is certainly an option.
Well, I'm not suggesting where it goes, only that I want the town to build the thing,
Okay.
as opposed to other people.
Okay, like I said, my assumption, what I assumed is we were gonna look at the building and determine whether it was something that we were interested in doing at all. And if we were, then we would consider either having the town build it or whatever way we would go on that. That's the second decision, I think. The first
Okay,
decision
I'm
is
just
to
saying, I
whether-
didn't like the proposal that was put forward.
Right, I kind of agree with you on that one. So can we do the 7th at 5?
And meet down there?
Yes, we'll meet at the waterfront.
Are they gonna have any sort of facsimile so we know what we're looking and talking about, or just, this is where it's going to be, that's
Well,
what?
we've got pictures.
John has pictures.
I'll give
Oh, okay, we've got pictures, I guess.
Okay,
I can get them, I'll give them to you before the meeting tonight.
okay,
The same pictures that the guy gave us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
original.
I have them, okay.
okay. So it's on our calendar for the May 7th at 5 o'clock. New business. Our request date for the town of Wiscasset school budget validation referendum. Terry Wood, Superintendent of Schools. Ms. Wood?
Thank you. Not sure if you were given these from the previous years, but I kind of like to give a heads up so you can see where we're at.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Ryan?
And I'll review the warrant that the school committee approved, the April meeting. Admittedly,
Yeah.
you're welcome. Pardon me? She would be Thank you. You're welcome. So I'm just showing you that, and I also have, I wasn't sure if I could do the comparison because I did move some things and I promised you this. So this is a copy here, so we're down to there.
Yes.
So
This is,
No, this is even less. This is a copy of the
okay.
So it's 5,999,5294 from 6,028,000. So we have reduced our budget by about $500,000. So I am requesting school budget validation referendum on the evening of May 14th at 6 o'clock.
Do we have to make a motion?
It's a Tuesday. It's the following Tuesday from,
From 7.
and it's at 6 o'clock at the high school?
Yes.
Is this the format we're going to use?
I believe.
No, you'll have the warrant articles and stuff. It was just a comparison.
Now, the 14th, is that what they're going to be voting on each article? Is that what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yep.
Okay.
That's this one right here.
Okay,
That's what will get posted, and then after the election, if these are the amounts that are approved, then this will get posted in the town, and then we will have the budget referendum in June,
Okay.
June date.
part of our election, yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, I would like to have a motion from someone to approve. Ben,
Well, I'll make the motion for the sake of discussion.
for the May 14th meeting?
Well, I think if Linda's going to redo this because there's a lot of mistakes on this thing that's written.
Pardon me?
Well, it says for a meeting on the 14th, but it doesn't say what time, and it doesn't say where. And at the bottom, it says a majority of the town of Wiscasset School Committee, because the Board of Selectmen will be signing this.
No, I've had a conversation with Linda. We've had several conversations, so she has the time and she's posting it in the newspaper, so she does have the information.
But it has to go on this.
Right, I'm just giving you some information to look at,
This is not the warrant,
not the
but
actual.
you are going to be presenting May 14th.
Right, that's to give you some update, just so you see the numbers
Okay.
on there. Because it just has the May 14th, because I don't know if you're going to approve the dates, so I just kind of put it in at the top.
Once we approve the date, is it possible that you could get a copy of, your referendum, how you're voting, and send it down here to us so that we each all have a copy of it?
Yep.
Okay.
Linda's waiting, Linda was going to get it after we get that meeting, so we had the conversation, so you'll have everything.
Okay.
So you can look at it ahead of time, and all of the warrant articles separately will all be posted, so legally we have to do that before
Okay.
their budget referendum.
And we will make sure to get it out on the sign for May 14th, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so usually I don't think information is brought to you, but I just wanted you to see the numbers because there are changes that we've done, so that's why I was just giving you that format in the.
Okay. I just want to make sure that the townspeople are aware that this meeting is happening so that they can have the opportunity to
Yes.
go and voice their opinion.
Okay.
Did you make the motion?
Yeah, I second it, but we'll have to go through this again when we get the final product.
It's just for the
Just to-
meeting, the only thing I'm asking is to have
We're
the
just setting
meeting.
the date then.
Don't we have to sign the warrant, don't we?
We'd have to sign the warrant after they approve their budget, and that is the warrant article that states that we are approving the amount of money that was approved at this meeting.
And it will just be one lump sum.
There will be no number of money, no amount of money on that warrant article, if I'm not mistaken.
If you look on the side, you'll see on one column, our board approved ours. So then if you approve those amounts, that's what gets voted on.
Right, but I'm talking about the warrant article itself that goes to the taxpayers, the ones that we are gonna sign. It's not gonna have an amount of money on it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that's how it's worded.
But that's the second vote, we're talking about the first vote.
This is done by an open town, open meeting at the school. We aren't in control of this, they are. The board, the school
So the
board.
town will be voting on all of those articles.
The townspeople, the way I understand it goes, the townspeople will be invited to this meeting on the 14th. They will go, if they are voters in the town of Wiscasset, they will vote yea or nay on these articles, Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. Once that is done, then the superintendent is going to come up with an article that's just going to state to have the taxpayers approve the amount of money that was approved at the May 14th meeting. There will be no dollar value on that warrant article, if I'm not mistaken.
It's usually the warrant will say the 2019-2020 school year budget.
Right.
Yeah.
But it won't give you a dollar value.
And then if you have a referendum question for your 3 years, that will also be on that ballot as well. So it's the actual ballot.
Am I wrong,
I
Kathy?
know, I just wanted to say that you guys already approved a warrant with that article written in it. It says just what
That
you
total
said,
amount.
that total amount that was approved at the school validation meeting. So you've already voted on that in the warrant.
But that's not what I'm asking.
Okay, all right.
Can you ask?
This actually says notice of amounts adopted at town meeting on May
Our
14th.
meeting. Our meeting, our school.
On May
board
14th.
meeting. I can just collect those back if it's just too confusing because
Excuse me, what I'm asking is, for this town meeting, is it the Board of Selectmen's signature that makes it effective?
No.
Yes.
It does?
I believe that the Board of Selectmen are the only people who can call a meeting, a town meeting, that I may moderate and that people will vote on, and it has always in the past come in over the selectmen's signatures. You are the guys who say, we will have this town meeting to approve this. So I'm sort of with Ben thinking this whole thing is a whole new thing. Basically, the warrant that I would expect to see would be notice to citizens of the town of Wiscasset, blah, 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 hereby posted, to vote on these budget issues, signed at the bottom by the Board of Selectmen, not the school board, not me, not John, the selectmen. Now, this is the way it's been for the 30 years that I've been doing it. And if there's a change, great.
can I
Yeah.
just clarify? Our signature will be here. There'll be another paper that Linda sent me that has the lines for you to sign. So it's not on the same paper, but it goes together with this. So the school committee has theirs here, but the Board of Selectmen will be on the bottom of it. Linda gave me a copy of it, so I do have that.
That was the only point I was getting at, that we have to sign to post the thing.
All right, okay.
So it's just kind of like on a second piece of it, but this is showing that this was ours, and then yours, once that's approved, the signatures are on there, but it's connected to this, but it's more than one piece.
Okay. So right now, we have a motion to have the meeting on the 14th.
At
That's
6
all
at
we
the high
need right
school.
at this point in
Right.
time.
The Board of Selectmen is the only entity that has the authority to call a meeting of all the voters of the town.
So we're gonna call it for the 14th of May at 6 PM at the high school in the garden room.
That's right. I have a motion, and I have a second.
Second.
And Tammy, look at Front Street.
What's the garden room?
Gardner.
Gardner.
Garden.
Route
Oh,
27
Gardner
is the
Road.
Gardner Road.
Garden Road, I'm so sorry, I
Is this
didn't
where I-
understand what you
I
said.
didn't understand either.
I
and
thought you said in the
Road.
garden room, and I was like, wait a minute.
There's a garden hallway upstairs in the
The
same
Gardner Road, I apologize, I didn't understand.
This
It's
is
the
where-
Wiscasset Middle High School
I'm sorry.
gymnasium.
We've had the
I'm
second
not
discussion
over
about
here.
the 14 years doesn't do it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So this will be put together, then we're just gonna come in and sign it because we won't be meeting.
We'll be
Well, we will be
meeting
meeting on the
We'll be
7th.
meeting on the 7th,
Yes, that's plenty of time.
so we can be able to sign it at that point in time. Correct.
Only after the May 14th meeting.
No.
No,
So,
not
the
that.
confusion seems to be, you're talking about just simply signing something that you called the meeting. That's
That's not
right.
what this is.
This, what you're seeing here is a document that would go in, that would be put out after the meeting, so that's where the confusion is, I think. So obviously, you guys need to sign the document to call the meeting for us, that's why we're here requesting the meeting.
Okay, that's something that we will get from Linda.
Right, because she gave me a copy of
Okay.
it.
So Linda will get it to us, for us to sign it, for this to have this meeting go. Then once you've signed, done your thing on the 14th, then it'll come back to us again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Would you like to explain to Mr. Blackman how we got here, at least to get some time for the vote? You go ahead and vote.
I'll say, Mr. Blackman, we want to have a meeting on May 14th at 6 o'clock at the high school to have our school budget validation referendum, and we've cut the budget by about $500,000. I think it looks good, I feel very comfortable with it, we're still providing for our students here, and so that's what I'm here requesting right now.
Well, thank you, and I
You're
think you've done a good job.
Okay, thank you. And I just gave some information just so you can do some comparison ahead of time, but it's not that's the numbers that we're going into, and I met with Mr. O'Connell a couple of times through the process, so that's what we're at. That's what I'm asking for this evening, sir.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so, are we all set to vote? All those in favor? Thank you, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item of business is the business license approval for Fixed Marine Truck and Auto, and I would like to table this one. I have read the back of it, and I do have some issues with this one. I think that we need to have some type of legal consideration. According to the code enforcement officer, the gentleman has been in business since October 2017 without a license. He has not gone to the planning board. He was given the information on 12/17 of 18, 1/22 of 19, and 2/25 of 19 about his requirements to have a business, and he has done nothing. The town clerk had him fill this application out on 3/15/19, and it is signed by the code enforcement. There is an issue from the police department, but that's something that it does not involve us. But right at this point, he has not abided by our ordinances. He has opened up a business without a license. He has done repairs out there without a license. And I think we have to do something, but I don't want to do anything without legal counsel first. Catherine?
I think we gotta table this for a bit, or
Yeah, I agree. That's my feeling.
I'm not, certainly don't want to approve it with all these notes on the back.
No.
If somebody is operating without a license, don't we have individuals that can take care of that before it ever gets here?
He's not doing what he was asked to do.
Well, okay, if we know the person's operating without a license, why are we allowing them to, I guess? That's my question.
That at this point in time, my thinking is, do you go out there and tell him to shut his business down because it's illegal? I don't want to do that without having legal counsel saying, yes, we have the right to do that, because he is not abiding by our ordinances. He did not go before the planning board before he even opened this business. So he's completely, as far as I'm concerned, illegal out there. If I had my way, I'd tell them to shut it down right now.
Well, but what I'm saying, it isn't our place. We have a code enforcement officer. Isn't it their job to make sure that places are operating under the law?
Well, he, according to this, he went to him several times and got no response as to, I think it's the situation is finally coming before the board at this point in time, and we have to do something about it. I don't want to do anything unless we have some type of legal advice as to what we can do.
I'm saying it's not our place to do anything. It's the code enforcement officer's place.
We have to give him the guidance.
I don't think so.
Why not?
We don't give him guidance on that.
Hmm?
Our ordinances would provide the guidance.
Well, I was going to suggest that, we're not going to table this, but perhaps we could ask our town manager to write just a one-paragraph letter saying, you know, the board is not going to approve this because you haven't complied with the ordinances that are, the applicable ordinances to your business. So once
If the
that's,
board wishes, I can
I
certainly
mean,
do that.
that,
Basically-
just a letter is not gonna,
Basically, the code enforcement officer has been there many times. He hasn't even noted how many times he's been there. And if you have someone who is intransigent, I guess, it's hard to take the next step. I think, as the chair said, don't want to put anybody out of business, but on the other hand, as Mr. Blackton said, it's a requirement of doing business in the town that you have a business license. If you're modifying or doing something with a building, you're supposed to have your plans reviewed by the code enforcement officer. None of that has happened. This is a pretty extreme example of trying to enforce ordinances that are there for the good of everybody. If the lighter touch, if you will, doesn't succeed, we will have to do something else. I think probably in my letter I would say something along the lines with, I won't say exactly like this, we try to be nice, and we have other options, and we'll give you a week to respond, otherwise we will pursue any and all options, including looking to attorneys for legal recourse or words to that effect.
I still think it should come from the code enforcement officer.
Bless the man, he's tried. He's tried. Short of, what was the short of?
He's not listening. He's not listening to the code enforcement officer.
if you do send a letter, you might, send a copy to his landlord, who is the owner of Bruce Benner, I think his name is, of Pro Body.
Full body,
So
okay.
body works.
I mean, if he sees that at the bottom of the letter,
Okay,
I'm assuming he can read,
okay,
and maybe that would help.
okay. I can do that. I'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you. So do you need a motion to table this, or until?
Yes, I'd like to have it on the record to table.
Motion to table pending further review.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Told we couldn't table.
Hmm?
The previous manager always told me we couldn't table anything.
Why can't
Guess
we?
what? She isn't here anymore.
She used to say all the time. When we would postpone things.
Well, then we'll postpone it.
I'm just telling you how it used to be.
Cable's more fun than, cable's fine.
We're gonna postpone table. Slash it.
You need to vote.
All those in favor? Thank you. Whew, monthly financials. Department year-to-date expense report, H.M. Payson, statement of accounts. It looks like we're doing pretty good. Budget-wise. I don't see any departments on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah, Bernice ran the numbers just today, I think.
Yeah, there was, I've been doing after each one, a list, just a quick list to see where you're at, each department and what the cash balance is.
How are we doing?
I'm doing okay.
We're doing okay right now? Okay.
She hasn't had to borrow anything yet.
We haven't had to borrow yet, so we're doing good. Okay. Delinquent personal property tax collector. Tax collector Molly, you're up.
I prepared a list for you of the taxes that I am preparing to go to small claims court. There are some that are older than others, so I'm gonna start with those. But I just had a couple of questions for you to see how far my authority goes on that. It's $70 to start a small claims case. So I didn't know if there was a minimum that you would like me to take to the small claims, or if you want me to treat them all the same. There are some that are, closer to that $70 that, I do believe we can ask for that back should we win the judgment, but if we lose, that's an expense to the town that we can't get back. I don't foresee us losing, but we don't have a whole lot of documentation for the personal property. A lot of these are older accounts that don't have a lot of paperwork to back it up, like they haven't filed their property declarations in many years. And I have sent regular and certified mail to most of these people and haven't heard anything back. So, so the next step is small claims court.
Okay.
What's the total number of
If
claims if you went
There's
for all of them?
there's 15 of them, a few of them that I'm asking for abatements and supplementals because some of them are just not in business and it can't locate the people. Some of them have switched hands. There's 15 accounts there, and at the end I did total the amount of tax.
How many small claims would you have to make, do you think, out of your list?
Oh,
50?
probably, let me see,
I mean,
I would say 10 at least. Yeah.
$700.
Yeah, at least. And like I said, you can usually get it back should you win the judgment, but it's that risk that you're taking.
Okay. Okay, board, what are we doing? Yes, Bob?
Just looking through that, it looks like there's 2 or 3 small ones that you probably intended to abate anyway. It seems like all the ones that are left after you take those out are significant enough to pursue. And I did notice that there's 2 accounts here for a total of $9,000, and those are the 2 that just got us for over $20,000. That dropped off the edge of the table because they didn't get a bill in time.
Right.
And I think we need to proceed immediately with this so that that doesn't happen any more of this.
Okay.
And I think those are 2 are the older ones that I need to start with.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be a good
And
plan.
maybe if I start with those 2, that's worth the risk, and then maybe come back and see if I should go for the rest. Maybe start with the 2 bigger accounts. I don't know, because the ones that have the 2013 and forward they're coming up close to me not being able to bring them to court for that 2013 year. So I want to get on this as soon as I possibly can so that I don't miss that 1 year.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I think we need to pursue those older ones so that no more of this ever gets away.
And where there's no really lien process for the personal property, sometimes I guess with the small claims they'll offer mediation. Now if they come out and do a mediation, am I authorized to set up any kind of payment plan for them instead of taking it full? I mean, it's enforced like a judgment, but you don't actually go into the court. So I just want to make sure before I do anything, I don't go out of my bounds.
Well, Bob, go ahead.
You can get a judgment and get nothing.
Right.
You have to go back to court to order the payment, and I wouldn't give up any of it.
Okay.
If you get the judgment, though, it's a huge step
Yeah.
toward a resolution.
But what I'm saying is they offer mediation. Sometimes, I guess they'll offer a mediation, which they'll come in, instead of having you go in front of the judge, they'll come in to see if you can come to an agreement first. They'll have to, they still have to pay their taxes, like they're not getting away with that, but if they can make, instead of paying it in a lump sum, they make payments, or, I guess, I haven't been.
And that would be
so I'm
through the
not
court
sure.
that they would have to
Yes.
make those payments.
Yeah, and in mediation, whatever is done there, it's as good as a judgment, so.
I think that would be safe.
I think, I'm looking at the list and I can see 4 on that list, the high ones, that I think would be the first 4 to go.
Yeah.
There's 2 on the front page and 2 on the second page that are quite up there. So does that answer your questions?
I
Okay.
think that's,
So we're gonna hit those four, and as far as mediation, I mean, if you can, that's your job.
okay. I just want to make sure, like, if
But
they,
Judy, one of those is no longer in business.
Which one?
It would be
Gunning.
324.
Stevenson, I think, was Wiscasset Dental, and that one's what I haven't heard back from her either, and I know they just sold the business, but, the personal property is, it doesn't, there's no liens, there's no way for them to track that when they sell real estate, so.
And this is being done through, it's not really like someone put a for sale sign out there. I think it's
Right.
a bunch of
She
investors.
closed,
Because the-
abruptly, and,
Yes, it was a health issue of some sort, I guess, but the people buying it is, there's more than one from my understanding. There's investors, because I think they even
but then
wanted
this
Lincoln
tax,
County to donate $100,000 to us for purchase.
and this tax
No.
can't go, like, we can't charge them this tax,
Yeah,
because they
they're
weren't
very
there.
clear. These new owners would have absolutely
Nothing
Nothing to do with
it,
those
yeah.
tax, right, because it's
Well, I guess
it's
you have to
personal
go out
property, it's
to
not the
them.
same as real estate, like, it's not.
So if we can't go after that one,
in
Well,
any
I'm
way.
not saying you can't, I just,
I just wanna go after the four high ones.
yeah, that's fine. Yep.
And see what
And
we
we
can
can,
get.
and we can always attempt that one too, because that one, I don't think that one has 13 outstanding, so I can always see if I can have it served
Yeah,
at a later date. It's just the ones that are running close to that 2013 deadline.
okay. Ben, did you have a question?
Not on this.
All right. Are we all set on this one here? Okay.
Thank you, Molly.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right, consideration of May 21st, 2019 for public hearing on annual town meeting warrant articles. May 21st, that's also one of our meetings, night of our meeting. I have no problem with holding that night before our meeting.
Yeah, could we keep down the agenda, we can hold it in the meeting.
Hmm?
If you get the agenda down that night, we can do it within the meeting. Either way.
Thanks.
We have the power.
Yeah, I just don't get any no more. Do you want to do it 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock? Start our meeting. I don't really want to go 5 o'clock because I think it's not where we normally meet. I'd like to do 6 o'clock and then go into our meeting.
And do it as part of the meeting.
It's part of the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
Yes, is that okay with everyone? All right, so 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay. We need to amend that.
Why?
To include the public hearing for the annual town meeting and for the next one, the special town meeting, the Columbia Campground. That is also a secret ballot vote. So it has
That's
to
right,
have-
those will be both that night.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend if the board agrees to May 21st also, and a few minutes after the first one,
Okay.
Yeah.
6:15.
However it
If
works
that's
out.
what the board wishes.
Okay.
Okay, just
Yes.
a question.
Yes?
I think I didn't understand what Ben said. He said having the second one the same night. The second one is a special town meeting. The first one is a public hearing.
But it's gonna be a secret ballot vote for both of them.
It's gonna be, I think this is wrong. It shouldn't be a special town meeting, it should be a public hearing. Because
Okay.
it's going to be
Should be public
a vote. It'll be included in the June ballot.
hearing. Yeah, should be a
Right,
public
so
hearing.
the agenda is just
It's misleading, yes. It
Okay.
should be a public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one other, getting back to the schools for a moment, I think we said we would sign it on the 7th.
We can't,
That's right, we can't, it has to be earlier than that.
because they're gonna do it on the 14th, so we will have to sign it on the 21st. No, we will have to sign it I'm getting confused.
10 days before, right?
Yes.
So have
We-
to, have to authorize the board to come in and sign it sometime before.
We have to sign before the 14th, the public notice of the meeting
So you have
that
to
Linda
sign
Perry is
it.
going to be making up. Then after, that's what we have to sign. Before, we can do that on the 7th.
No, because you have to post.
We have to post it.
We have to have
Oh, this is getting confusing.
10 days.
Okay, it's just a special town meeting. It has to be signed and posted 10 days before the meeting. So it has to be posted on the 4th. And you have to sign it somehow between now and then.
All right, you get
Ain't
the,
like fun.
we can always come in and sign it.
We're prepared tomorrow.
We come in and sign it. Yes,
I can just have what Linda sent me, and I'll just put it all together, and I'll have my board have it signed, and I'll bring it into her, and then you guys can come in and sign it and post it, so.
okay. We don't have to have a meeting to sign that. We can just come in and sign
Right,
it.
that's what I'm saying, I'll just
Yeah.
bring it in.
If you can have it prepared, have it on our table in there, and once it's there, we'll just come in and sign it.
But you can make a motion now that you will do it.
Okay. I thought we already did that.
I'm sorry, I wasn't counting.
I'm losing track myself. I thought we already did the motion. Are we? Okay, we did one to authorize the 14th.
Yeah, that's done.
Yes, Judy, help us.
I'm Judy Flanagan and I'm confused.
So am I. I'm Judy Colby and I'm confused.
Maybe it's a Judy thing.
It's a Judy thing.
You have to set a special date for a public hearing to discuss the town warrant for the referendum warrant. You also are going to have a special town meeting, something about Chewonki that's a referendum vote.
That's a public hearing.
So the public hearing is for both of those items. And the Chewonki special town meeting will be, you haven't said that yet.
We're looking at
It will
the
be
same.
okay, on election. I'm not confused anymore.
We're having two public hearings on the 21st. One is on the warrant articles, and the other one is on Chewonki.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
I get it.
And right now, we're going to have Linda do the posting for the school on the 14th, set that up, put it out on our desk, and we can come in and sign it so it can be posted for 10 days before the 14th. Am I right, Susan?
Absolutely. You got it knocked, girl.
I'm getting there. We don't need a motion for that, though.
It's a legal requirement, but if you pick the date for the public hearing, then I guess this goes, you could take the view that going with it is the fact that you do the standard 10-day notice.
Right, we've already determined it's going to be the 14th.
So you have to back up 10 days routinely.
Okay,
That should be good, right?
yeah, we should be all set on that.
And
And we don't have to vote on the public hearings.
Well, yes, you do.
you're going to hold the public hearing?
Do we have to vote on that?
No,
Okay.
we've just set it.
Just a hearing.
We just set the public hearing. We don't have to vote to set a public hearing.
Okay.
You don't we have to notify people if this is the public hearing to come to?
You just said that you're going to have public hearings, two of them.
I thought you said we didn't have to vote on it. As a board, we have.
There's too many public hearings going on all at once here.
I'll let that one go, 'cause
But the people have to be notified of the public hearing
but yes, I
10
would
days
say.
in advance. Right, go ahead and make your motion.
No, I thought you made one.
Did you have a motion?
No. There's
Okay.
no motion
No
on the
motion on the
table.
floor. Okay, do you want to make two separate motions? One for each? Keep it simple. I mean, I'm just,
Okay, I'll make it then. I'll make a motion to have on May 21st, a public hearing for the annual town meeting warrant articles. We'll do one at a time.
Okay.
Can I have a second on
Second.
that? At 6 o'clock.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Also on the 21st, we will have a public hearing on the special easement expansion for the Chilwaukee Campground Sewer.
Second.
All those in favor?
I wanted to just bring up a question on the wording here. Would it be appropriate to do that at this time?
if you don't mind, I would like to just get the dates set.
Yep,
and
that's
then
fine. I
This,
just
this
didn't want
is,
to lose my opportunity, that's all.
no, this
That's
is,
fine.
this is
No.
another step that isn't listed on the agenda, but just got put together yesterday, so.
Okay, so, all those in favor of that time? We have our dates set.
The 21st.
The 21st.
6 PM for the first one, 6:15 for the second.
Right.
All right.
So Linda can get those together too, and put them on the table, and we can sign those.
Now, I don't mind, I could introduce the.
Yes, go ahead and talk about
The
that.
warrant that Mr. Flanagan wants to talk about.
Yes,
Basically, as you know, we've been working back and forth with the Chilwaukee campgrounds and the airport. And finally, all parties are satisfied, and what we need is a special town meeting that's already been arranged to discuss this proposed warrant, which is in front of you. The draft is in front of you, and I have the page to sign if the board is in agreement. And it's very simple, really. Shall the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen on behalf of the town to convey an expanded septic system easement to Ham and Chilwaukee LLC of sufficient size and on terms as they deem advisable, and to execute an appropriate easement for the expansion. It's something that's just, it's dotting the i's and crossing the t's, and the explanation is there. And this has been a long drawn out discussion and delayed for all sorts of reasons, and we're finally happily coming to the end of it to the relief of the Brackett's and ourselves. So, Mr. Blackton, you had a specific question?
Yeah, in the explanation about the second and third sentence there, it says the town agreed to permit the expansion. Is that appropriate? I mean, the Board of Selectmen doesn't have the authority to agree to it, and the town as a body hasn't voted.
Let me look at this again.
I mean, I know what it's saying, but...
Yeah, well, we discussed this a while ago, and the board, as you know, didn't have any problem with the easement. This is just,
No, I don't have a problem with the easement, and
Just the wording.
I don't have a problem with the wording of the article, but in the explanation,
Okay.
it alleges that the town has already agreed to it. And that
okay, yeah.
possibly could be reworded
Yeah,
differently.
the town didn't vote on it, it was discussed, but the board didn't vote on it, so let me see.
Would you just change town to select board?
Well, the select board doesn't have the authority to agree to that.
Why not eliminate the sentence entirely and just
Yeah,
say
I mean,
this
Selectmen
article
seek
would
an
allow us to
expansion
do
of
it?
the septic system?
Well, once the easement, the abrogation easement is signed, then the town, it's conditional upon the town getting that easement to be signed, which should be tomorrow. And so if you change,
in the last,
if the town agrees, in connection with the acquisition, the town agrees to permit the expansion of the septic system, allows all information, and so on and so forth. So I might change that for the town agrees as opposed to.
Instead of a D, make it
It's
an S.
agreed, it implies that it's already happened. Agrees once the easement has been signed. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any horrible passion over it. I mean, thought that was just a little bit misleading for somebody who was not up to speed on it as we are.
Yeah, I know, it's difficult sometimes to shrink the whole set of discussions into something that's clear. And Kathy, did you have?
Well, I just wanted to point out that back when the board approved the initial agreement with Milwaukee, this is separate from the easement that we're gonna close on tomorrow. But in section 2, it talks about the septic system improvements, and it has a language in there that the town agrees to process such a request to present the proposed easement. So it's been written in here, and I think the board approved this agreement already for you to authorize you to execute it. So I just want to point out that I think they did agree to it.
Kathy's been working with this longer than I have, so I defer to you. It's effectively already agreed,
Yeah.
except that we're still waiting for the last one.
I think you're a member of the board then, Bobby, I'm not sure. This has been going on for such a long time that I'm not sure which board was in the seats when this was approved.
Any other questions, Bob? No? Yes, Ben?
I would suggest, I'd make a motion, after explanation, between that and the next paragraph, to insert recommended by the Board of Selectmen.
I'm sorry, where are you exactly?
After the explanation,
Oh, after.
I'd like to have it read recommended by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. We need to vote.
I move that we recommend it.
Okay. All those in favor? 5-0. Okay, recommended.
Yeah, I'm very pleased that we've reached this point, and I'm just hoping that we'll be able to move. Okay. Yeah. And Kathy's going to print that out so the board will be able to sign it, and we can proceed. Thank you.
Yes, Ben?
Getting back to the schools,
Oh,
are we just gonna come in when the warrant's ready and sign it
yes. We'll have 3 of them.
around the first of the month? Or?
No, probably next week.
Oh, yeah.
This week.
Okay. Okay.
Linda or John can give us a call.
Yep.
We'll have 3 of them to sign. The school, the town warrant, and then Chewonki. Notices to be posted. Okay? All right. Resignation of George E. Knight from the Wiscasset Water District Board of Trustees. We received a letter from Marjorie Wright Knight, his personal representative. I, Marjorie Wright, personal representative for George E. Knight, am submitting his resignation from the Board of Trustees. He had a medical emergency on January 30, 2019. I am submitting this so the board can move forward with filling his seat.
Will we accept the resignation with regret?
With regrets, absolutely.
Second that.
All those in favor? Okay, and you'll have to fill this position?
Yeah, if you'll note here, the board has the authority to appoint someone to fill the rest of his term, which will run until June of next year, because the warrant has already been submitted. So possibly, maybe at the next meeting, the board might like to come up with some names, put them on the agenda to vote. I can, if you can, read my writing, I can do it.
I'm just wondering if we should reach out to the Board of Trustees of the Water District to see if they have someone in mind that they would like to fill that position.
Would you like me to read what I?
Go right ahead, read it.
I just said to the board, since the nominations have closed for town meeting, the board may vote to fill the vacancy. This will be for the balance of his term, not namely until June 30, 2020. So for the next agenda.
Yeah, I think you need to talk to the Board of Trustees and see if they might have someone in mind.
If Kathy has done this, if you board wouldn't mind. including recommended by the board of selectmen.
Do you want to read that then to make sure it's what you wanted?
Yeah, it's in the board
Yeah.
print.
Yes, thank you very much. That's efficient.
I guess I'll sign it first. Catherine? Okay, town managers report.
All right, first item is 11A. We had a minor flooding event last week. When Steve came in at 4:30 to clean, as usual, a few inches of water on the floor, wet some carpets. The road crew and Steve got hold of Surf Pro, and by the time I got there, there was no water anymore. Wet carpets. Surf Pro did a very nice job, and they put dehumidifiers in, and blowers and heaters and such, and we left them running through the weekend, and when they came in on Monday, everything was pretty much clear. The damage,
Like it never ever happened. That's what they say.
no. You go down the hallway, you'll see what's missing. But you know, some of the lower bits of the wall board, whatever, particle board, whatever it is, were soaked and had to be cut away. But everything is bone dry now. It smells a lot different. And as I said, two damp carpets, and they're all dried off. We had the adjuster come by, and he looked at everything that was being done. Surf Pro, of course, would be covered by our insurance. I told him to keep the ticket open because I'm looking at what our options are, whether we want to, where we want to cut the rotten stuff off. Do we want to cut up 2 feet all the way along, even the undisturbed stuff? I just don't want to keep. I don't want to have to come back to this. I just want it done. And so they keep that ticket open, and anything we do beyond that, I'd be expecting them to pay their fair share. So that's where we are with that. Any questions? Union negotiation schedule. I'd like, if the board is willing, to start with the police department, and I guess myself and the selectmen will be on. If you wouldn't mind giving me a date or two, what time of day, then I will call the union. You don't care? Is it going to be Kathy for the first one? Kathy?
Usually both of us.
Okay.
Two of us at the same time.
Oh, two of you at the same time?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, I'll contact the union and just say these things.
Yeah.
Double teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Injury. Okay, that's that one. So, clock tower. I didn't know the town owned clock tower. I didn't know the town owned right down to the roof line of the old church. So, and Ted and I and Steve and Joe Cahoon, who's the custodian for the very nice building underneath it, went up there and up and up and up. And I went up as far as I could fit because I had my winter coat on. But basically there are window panes out on the very top, which means the weather's been coming in for quite a while. Not accessible by normal means, so it's been open for years, so I'm not panicking. But what I want to do is get a boom truck up there and basically wrap it, so no more weather can get in. No idea what it'll cost to do, but my intention for the moment is just to stop the weather getting in. With the panes gone, there's no neat way of doing it because the window frames themselves aren't in the greatest shape. And it's been, as I said, some of these windows must have been out for years. So, as I said, first thing is just to probably wrap it with heavy duty plastic or some sort of framing. Get some boom truck that'll get up there and get around it. And I don't want people working from the inside because it's a mess up there. So, anyway, as I said, I didn't even know the town owned the clock tower. It's a great looking clock, by the way. Have you been up there?
I've been up there, yeah.
It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. It's been there since 1908. Beautiful clock. The next is Mr. Dave has gone DEP grants. I think, as he mentioned, he's been talking with Kyle Coolidge of Wright Pierce, Chuck Appleby, and the main water or something or other. I forget the name of the group. You know, people with money. And we're looking for grants, low interest, no interest loans, some principal forgiveness perhaps because of our median income dropping. So I would say it's well under control. He's making every effort to get the wherewithal to do what needs to be done at that plant. And there's a lot of catching up to do, is all I would say. Ms. Blagden nicely complimented the road crew on the cleanup. It was pretty tough sledding because the wind never stopped. And so you could move the leaves around and then they'd move themselves again. But they've done a nice job. I think Ted said he's very close to the end of all the street cleanup. Yesterday morning, our backup power, what do you call it?
Battery backup.
Battery backup.
To our server, Blue.
Yeah, for the server. Stopped working. I think there was a power surge sometime over the weekend. Anyway, Kathy managed to swap out the broken one with one that does work, and we've ordered a new battery backup package. As we were talking about it, I was informed that the server is 7 years old, and what you do with the electronic stuff, 3 years, everybody should give you 3 years. Up to 5, you know, that's okay. Beyond 5, you're playing Russian roulette. And 7 is really, really pushing it. And the server, of course, is the heart of the operation. Even though the data is stored off-site in some, what's the name of that thing, Concordia? Yeah, it's a cloud thing. Yeah, I forget the name of it. Anyway, but the fact is, we'll have to price out the server and consult with our tech guy and see what we can come up with. And I've also been told how many of our different programs will not be supported by such and such a date and such a date. So all these things, strictly speaking, we should have a sequence of replacement. That'd be something I'll get around to. On the EPA cleanup, includes the ash pits and such like, we have sent out an RFP. We have 2 responses, which Kathy will be, we only got them yesterday. Kathy will be sending to the EPA, and we'll be interviewing who they are. And I believe a representative of the board or the town.
Representatives of the board should be there.
So there's only two bidders, very technical stuff, and so that'll be coming up. You do have a letter about the sunken gardens, which we address.
Yeah, we're going to address that next meeting.
Okay. And last thing I have, I've probably forgotten something. We're having an Earth Day cleanup, which was moved from Easter weekend to next Saturday, and I think Cindy Collmore is spearheading it, and I think we'll be holding it rain or shine, because we'll never get a predictable dry day. That's the way it looks. And that's really all I have.
The Spirit of America.
The word?
The Spirit of America.
Oh, I beg your pardon, yes. We've been asked, if the press would kind of play this down a little bit, we'd like to get a nominee or decide on someone to get the Spirit of America award. Last year, the town didn't submit a name, but this year, if there's anybody, maybe think about it. I would hesitate to recommend anybody. Oh, did you?
No,
that was something else.
That was
Right?
a town report.
I think last year there was some discussion of recognizing the group of volunteers that did our Christmas program for the last couple of years. And so I think that kind of fell on the wayside. Judy Flanagan and her crew took it upon themselves to take that program over to help some of our area families for Christmas. And so that was one I thought that you guys threw around last year, but threw around maybe not the right term, but suggested. Because it is for a volunteer group.
Okay. I have no problem with that, Glenn. Does anybody else?
I do.
No, so,
You deserve the recognition.
I call us the gray-haired elves But it's not just us, it's the town. The businesses, the individuals, the groups that just do it. And the reward, I feel like we that pass out the gifts get that reward because no one sees how appreciative these people are, and they are.
But you're failing to mention all of the logistical stuff you guys do. That's a
They
big
shop,
factor.
sort it, deliver it,
Yes,
you know, so
exactly.
if it weren't for them, that would be.
It's the heavy lifting, Judy.
Yeah.
So we are we in agreement for that group? I think we're good.
What's the
Okay.
group called?
Gray-haired elves, I
Yeah, great, yeah, no.
The gray-haired elves.
We really don't have a, we could say family wishes.
Family wishes.
Family wishes.
Family wishes.
Wishes?
That too.
W-I-S-H-E-S, not W-I-T.
Ben, be nice, be nice. Oh, our country nice over there.
Oh, my hearing's not bad as hers.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay, let's go on. The assessor business, tax collector recommendation, personal property abatements. Molly, that's you again.
It is, the following that are on here, I'm recommending, these are the years that Ellery can't recommend, so, Stuart Gordon was not in business from 2015 to 2017. He failed to let us know, but he has since let us know, that he was not in business those tax years. Main Heritage Village, the owner has, passed away, and the current owner is not opening a business, and those taxes wouldn't belong to him anyways. Brian Buck also has passed away. And then the last two have switched owners, and we do have supplementals to send out for those as well, if they're approved.
Okay.
I'll move the personal property abatements as presented.
And I will second it. All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Tax collector recommended first property supplemental.
And that one is one of the listed above that we're abating. They had new owners during some of that tax time, so we're gonna send a bill to them because they should be getting billed. That's for the Wiscasset Diner. And that was owned by the Kathleen Alexander from above, so we abated that, and then we're gonna bill to Lighthouse, because they've been in operation since 2016, I believe, under that ownership.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the personal property supplemental for Lighthouse Lobster Shack doing business as Miss Wiscasset Diner.
Second.
$161.12. All those in favor? Okay, assessor agent recommendation, personal property abatements.
Those are all the same ones, just the years, the current year.
These are all the current year. Okay. And small dollars. I'll make a motion to approve the personal property abatements of Stuart Gordon, Main Heritage Village LLC, Brian B. Buck, and Lori Levitt, and Kathleen Alexander.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, assessor agent's recommendation of personal property supplemental. We have two.
Move the supplementals as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Do we have any other board business?
Is the sign on your work?
I think it works. Why?
Well, I never saw the selectmen's meeting.
Oh, I saw that.
I was there, I saw it. That's how I
Once.
knew. That's how I knew to come.
He said it's working. He said it's working now.
It was working the other day.
But it wasn't working. I sat out there and watched it.
I don't know. I've never been
On
done
two
this.
different occasions. He said it's working now.
Okay, anything else from the board? Yes, Bob?
I want to apologize to the board for showing up late. And I did also want to thank Catherine for bringing the refreshments to the Budget Committee meeting, as Judy did one and Catherine did another, and it was very appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? We are adjourned.
Do we have to sign all the things?
Yes, there's a whole bunch over there.
No.